got Blackwings leaping into the OTS Championship weekend, Synchro good stuff, and it's our good old friend Eldritch back at it with some other interesting stuff. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I've seen more and more people out here playing the Bysteel package with Blackwings, and it genuinely impresses me that we see this deck able to overcome a lot of the standardized metagame at this point. It really does prove that, you know, the synchro capabilities of this, obviously the aggression that you get with the Assault Wing. Also, a lot of decks don't have an out to full Armor Master. Unaffected by other card effects on a 3k body is actually incredibly scary. You can't even like drop down this guy and attempt to out it. It doesn't, it's not doable. Alright, I think this card contributes to a lot of the random success that we do see with this. Also, I mean, strong Bysteels, and also the Wanting Moon being searchable as, you know, the generic synchro outlet to kind of, you know, put this deck on the map. Yeah, makes sense to me. Next up here is our synchro good stuff. Rev it up. We are playing tunings in here. I love the fact that finally somebody gets it. Tuning is by far the free searchable. It gets you into the Revolution. Technically, if you need to go into a Jet Synchron, depending on how you open, you can do so. I am digging a lot of the 2-ups that this build is going on. They don't want to, you really don't want to draw a lot of this garbage. Like, trust me, it's one of the biggest complaints that I have about synchro good stuff is if you dead draw some of this trash, man, it runs into an issue. But the 2-up scenario here, I feel like, carries you through relatively easily. As long as you know you can get to the speeder and it's able to resolve and set up, should be relatively fine. I also see that we are side decking some cross-out designators as well. So if your opponent's trying out anything that we're going to call unfun for time, should be easyville. Next up here, we have Pendulum Magicians for you here. And you are getting the chance to see Triple Supreme King Gate Magician actually shine here. I think a lot of people have not really explored a lot of the Supreme King stuff. Or had time to mess around with Pendulum in general, since Triff really hasn't explored the deck anymore. More eyes kind of turned away from it. But you've also only 2 Wings of Light. A lot of people swear by this card. Like, it's a 3-of, you need to see, especially if you're playing 42 cards. You do feel like you want to try playing more of it because the card is actually just that good. We're only playing 1 of each of these. That's pretty standard. You do play the Foolish Burrow. Only 2 copies of the Dragon Shrine to drop down the Dark Worms. Yeah, a lot of things that you would feel would be 3-ofs. They're pushing for 2 here, and I think that's fine. We don't have Electromites. We have to kind of design the deck a little bit more different than you would probably want to, but it should be getting the job done very, very easily for you. Next up here, we have Eldritch with Horus, Kenningen, Nadir's Servant. How you brought, there's our incredible Ecclesia. So this build has brought all of these different packages together in an attempt to maximize and make the best field. Now, I think this, well, we've seen a few builds trying this out, because obviously the Ken and Gen stuff, tribute or making Thrust alive in something like Eldritch should not be possible, all right? You should not be allowed to get the free advantage that does come with this, but it does put more aggression on the opponent and does allow you, you know, some more plays. Also, you are getting some free cards. That's what we're going to call the free chicken nuggies out here, because you see this Horus package, guess what? You drop these terrible cards and you're just going to go to town and get the free draws. Yeah, that seems good. Next up here we have, oh boy, the Amano Awado. Now this is where we see Synchro Zone, of all things, actually showing up. And the only thing you care about on this card is neither player can declare attacks except with synchro monsters. Now, this does mean that you know, a Baron de Flor, you know, some of the synchro specials can kind of do the thing. I mean, you can control 1-ofs. This is arguably something worth more consideration than, you know, some of the other things that we've seen kind of pop around in the meta. And I do see that we are playing Ultimate Slayer, giving this deck the chance to kind of go second, which is actually kind of interesting. It obviously, this deck does kind of struggle to go second, but honestly, if you do see the Amano Awato and you're able to just kind of navigate around the treacherous terrain, you should be fine. And of course, I see we are playing triple Herald of the Abyss and some other interesting little tech choices. Okay, next up here, we have more Purely. Man, so much cat in the hat out of this OTS Championship weekend. I understand that, like, people want to play this deck. I understand that, like, the deck is incredibly strong for what it is. It does maintain a lot of the aggression that you want to see typically in your meta. 150%, but I don't know if it's necessarily for me. Also, playing the Nibiru's, play the Dark Rose for board breaking. There's our one Purely Leap. And of course, I feel like this deck has just become one of the most competitive shifter decks in the room. You know, you deploy this, you laugh at your opponent, and your opponent's just like, well, crap, man, you're offer handshake, you got me. Same thing with the Power of Some Limit. Once again, my favorite nope, you can't play the game deck, really kind of showing off it's real nope, you can't play the game sense of things. Man, Purely is such a good deck. Next up here, we have Firefighter and Friends. Okay, so of course, man, how much standard do you get out here in terms of these builds? I do think that triple Diabellstar is a little bit much. I don't think you have to throw and commit fully to this. You can get away with playing 2 or 1. Like, honestly, if you cut this down to 1, you could play 40 cards, but obviously, if you extend it up a little bit more, you have a less chance of drawing the cards that you want to set. I think it's the thing that saddens me the most about Rescue Aces. When you draw those bricks and you're just like, ugh, like, this is so bad. Yeah, typically the bricks are the worst factor in the deck. Of course, most of the builds have also went to the Firewall package as well. Yeah, that's pretty standard at this point. The fact that, you know, the Firewall stuff does tend to help out majorly for the little extra, you know, setups and aggression that you can put. Deck doesn't really care all that much. It's just, hey, you know, we got our set 5, we're good. Next up here we have, we are playing Sprite Tri-Brigade. This package is so that we can make Shurag during the opponent's turn. That's the only reason why we're doing this. It's just for the high volume interruption removal that this card gives you. Interesting. Obviously, like, we've seen Sprite Tri-Brigade before. Like, getting Link 2 locked is fine. You also play the Wanting Moon in here. 2,000 or more attack. Alright. And it's if my opponent has it too. Well, I mean, technically the Fenrir checks that box too. You know, you go ahead and you got your free monster on the field. You are essentially good to go. Also, we're playing Super Poly to make the Garua / Mud Dragon. Pretty standard, you know, things out here. And then I see that we do side the Revolt for the Shurag interruption play if we're going second. Okay. Next up here, we have, we're feeling dangerous today. We've gone 60 cards. So this is, we're playing more of a flushed out Infernoble package with this deck. But why though? All right. Honestly, I like the idea of what you're trying to do here. The fact that you are able to go down, I mean, what, like, either line, you can do Twinkle Moss, rip your opponent's hand apart, Turbulence, Set the World, post side decking, you get access to this, which you shouldn't be allowed to have all of this filtering together, but it looks like, because you do have that really weird, you know, airlifter, backdoor warrior synergy, that you can just kind of have this engine flow together and it works out. Interesting. Next up here, we actually have Standard Unchained for you. And I will say it is kind of nice to see somebody not going turbo crazy out here with the ideas. All right. And the fact that you can still play Standard and be fine. I see that we're only playing 2 copies of Shared Ride, which is fine. And of course, our dear friend Sangan actually getting a place down here. I'm super happy to see that Sangan has got the chance to return back to this deck. Also, I mean, Sangan or Torkine into Sangan into a Droll and Lockbird post side decking going first is so good. It'll win you pretty games. So what you guys think about this chunk of decks? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.